took before the first gen even pops. Trying to bait out a hit there, but not able to get it. Freaky JT able to get away. That was a missed decisive strike. And that is an insta-down.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, people of the court, I'm your host, Guildspire, Judge Guildspire, and I am joined here by Counselor Poggy. Poggy, how are you doing today?
I've had my coffee, I got a good sleep, I'm feeling pretty good. I'm actually feeling pretty good. I'm also really excited about these teams, but can you tell me what's on the docket today?
Absolutely, Counselor Poggy. Today is week 4 conference rivals between Loop Artist and Undying Alliance, where we'll be on Hawkins National Laboratory, one of the smaller maps of Dead by Daylight with a total of 138 square tiles and only a minimum of 7 hooks, so, definitely might be a little bit of a trek for those killers, but probably won't see that too much. Thankfully, they are pretty close by here and there. And there's always that permagen down up in the upside down. So gonna be interesting to see the gen order that these survivors pick.
I'm more worried about these survivors because this map sucks for Survivor. It is just so sad that that Undying Alliance, and Sam is the one who did it, and he's not allowed to unmute because of his background noise. So I'm going to talk crap about Sam for a second. Sam picked this map for Undying Alliance, and then he quit the team so he could focus on Vigo's Court League stuff. All right, how do you like them apples? That's some stuff right there.
Yeah, this map is very rough for survivors. I think when Behavior brought out the statistics, it was like a 63% in favor of killers, up there with Dead Dog Saloons. So it's definitely going to be a rough time, to say the least. But who knows? They might just know how to play the map right and might be able to force the killer into some awkward positions.
Absolutely. And maybe they can pull it off. I mean, to be fair, a lot of the ways that people play on Hawkins as Survivor is generally incorrect. And I don't mean people in this league. I mean people on, like, the pubs. Like, we see you're supposed to kind of put pallets together. You got your unsafe pallets, but they're closer together, so you can string them together and make sort of your own loop out of it and force the killer to have to kick one of them. And it's complicated, and it's doable, though. And let's, really quick, though, before we go on to this, because obviously they're not all here yet, so I don't want to go over the team. Let's look at their stats.
Yeah, absolutely.
Gil, what about these? What do you think of these stats?
Yeah. Well, I think they are almost polar opposite if you look at them side by side. Obviously, UA with a hook differential of a 2.3 in comparison to LA with a negative 2.75, meaning that LA definitely has the upper hand if you look at the statistics side by side. So it's definitely going to be an uphill battle for Undying Alliance, to say the least. But hey, we've seen bigger upsets before, and we might see one again today.
And it's worth pointing out for those that don't already know what a hook differential is. Basically, the hooks that the killer gets subtract from the times that the survivors get hooked. So lower is better. Negative 2.75 is great. The lowest possible would be like a perfect game from both sides every single time, minus 12. It takes an average over time. The current lowest in the league is minus 3.94. And Loop Artist is actually second with minus 2.75. So they have a really good hook differential, and I think that's reflected as well in their escape percentage and their gen percentage. We see 90% escape and 100% of gens. So they have done all of their gens in every single game they've played so far in the last 3 weeks. That's incredible. So, yeah, could be rough for this other team. We'll see how Undying plays against it.
Absolutely. I will give credit where credit's due on Undying Alliance, though. They do have a 77.5% gen percentage, so that's pretty good, all things considered. We'll see if that's really going to bring in be a factor here on Hawkins Laboratory. And going back to that,
I'm
what you were
to see how it
saying.
goes.
Absolutely. And going back to what you're saying, I will make mention that, you are 100% right that there's a wrong way to play this. And I think the worst thing that we ever see is the top gen and upside down being done the first 2 gens.
Yeah. That's
that
a good
is
point.
the biggest mistake. And whenever I see that as a killer, it's a godsend.
Yeah, I mean, that's absolutely true. Sam actually talked about that a lot because I didn't know that either. When I first started learning about Hawkins, because he's like, it's one of his favorite maps or something. I don't know. This guy's a weirdo. And I guess we got kicked out of the the lobby. But anyway, we're going to work on that. But Sam was telling me that, you don't want to do those 2 top gens first. You want to save them for last, because that makes it so that you have like this really strong, 3 gen that can't be interfered with as easily. And it's basically impossible to, as the killer, to come back from that situation if everybody's alive and all that. So anyway, it's weird. Sam, just really quick background stuff, league business. If you could go check on what just happened. I don't know if they went into game without me or if they got all kicked from the lobby.
Lobby issues.
Lobby issues. Okay, thank you, sir, very much. I see that actually the killer, who was, by the way, you're usually sitting in your spot over there, little Rugard, he is not online anymore. So I guess maybe he got kicked off the Steam or something. Ah, there he goes. Now he's back. So yeah, there are some lobby issues going on. Dead by Daylight. What are you gonna do? It is what it is.
Exactly. And I was looking in chat, and I did see a question of who currently has the highest hook differential. And I believe you were saying earlier that's Flops, right?
That is Flops, yeah. FPS has the highest current one. But I mean, you can't just take that on its own. Right now, this early in the season, only 3 games, or 3 weeks into the season, it doesn't mean a whole lot unless you also factor in what teams they've been going up against. Because if they're going up against the lower echelon of the teams, you're going to obviously see better hook differentials from the teams. And we saw 2 teams that are really good go up against each other, and so it's kind of going to pull them out of where they would have been. CDM actually had the best one early on, where it was like -8 or 7 or something, and then they went up against Deity, and I think next week they're going up against Loop Artists, actually. And so we're going to see them kind of pulling back closer together, I think, towards that 0.
Hey, don't you forget that tonight they're going against Ford Weitzman Locker too. So let's see how well
tonight,
they fare.
Yeah. Tonight they're going up against Ford Weitzman Locker, and Ford Weitzman Locker has a hook differential of 0.5, so they're sort of a neutral team at the moment, if that makes sense. Anyway,
it's true. It's true.
Just my 2 cents. It's not like I built the system that counts all this stuff or anything, I did, by the way. Spoiler alert.
I would say it's definitely some impressive math work there. Definitely do not envy the time it took to create that.
Mm-hmm. And we have Little Rugard still having issues with the lobby. I'm not able to get in with him still. So I guess he's maybe restarting his game. Folks, we're really sorry about the trouble we're having. If I could, I would play marbles on stream or something until we can get it sorted. But anyway, we're just going to have to sit here and banter for a bit. So let's read what the chat's saying to each other, I guess. If you have anything interesting going on in chat. I haven't been looking at it. I'm sorry. I've been distracted by Little Rugard inviting me.
It just looks like talks about asserting dominance in the PB game.
Okay. People are rooting on UA, though. Cursed T says, go UA. And people are rooting for UA. I think they want to see LA take a hit here, because LA was last year, they were in the finals against CDM. They lost, but they're a strong team to go up against. I mean, they're nothing to sneeze at. Not that you would sneeze at teams, but I mean, you know what I mean. It's turn of phrase. So
exactly.
Sorry, couldn't help myself.
And I will say that I played against them in the preseason, so I know firsthand what that is like to play against LA Survivor team, and they are very strong. They know their loops, they know their maps, they know how to really drive the killer away from where they want to be. And so if you are not on the top of your game, LA will exploit that very quickly. Right.
Absolutely. And yeah, I mean, we saw that a lot last season as well in the season 0. I mean, it was just sometimes it was a bit of a bloodbath. It was kind of scary, and I think Undying Alliance may be a little bit nervous today. In fact, I can confirm that they're feeling a little bit nervous. I won't tell you who told me. I'll give you a hint though. But I mean, he is feeling a little bit of pressure. But I told him, relax. You're going to do great. Like, Little Rugard is the one he was feeling a little bit nervous. But he is third best killer in the game. You're second, by the way. He's third. I mean, what? That's crazy. I mean, you guys are both hosts on this show, and you're both second and third place best killer in this league. That's amazing. So he should definitely be feeling pretty confident. But I understand it's like, some professionals tend to have these nervous jitters before games, even if they're solid players. I think I've heard like Magnus Carlsen was nervous during his chess tournament or whatever. So I mean, and he's like the best chess player in the world. So like. It happens.
Honestly, I think nerves go one of two ways, though. I think it can either, improve your gameplay, or it can actually just break you down. It really depends on how you, let it take control. Sometimes it can just be that driving factor to go that extra 10% and ensure that you seal that win. And I can definitely, attest for that. When I went against OOD, that was definitely my mindset. And even Hellraisers last week, when we were in that tight spot of, okay, can we make this comeback? I was like, oh god, well now everything's on me to try and close out this match before 4 gens go off. Like, okay, how do we do this? And just sometimes it can be that driving factor to make you that much of a better player.
Absolutely. And here are the team. They're actually finally in. I think they're going to start readying up soon, probably. We see currently 3 medkits. They can't bring 3 medkits or it is a foul. I think they know that, though. They're probably just not yet readied up and all that stuff, but they just got in. So we have a X-Elite Gamer 2003, Asteroid 621, all for Joma, who I believe is the lead of this team, captain, and Cybot Lel, another fantastic. I mean, these are all fantastic player. We've seen them many, many times. We know these guys know how to loop. So, and Little Rugard, of course, on killer. So that is the squad at the moment, and they're probably going to start getting ready in just a moment. But again, if they bring 3 medkits, somebody on the team's going to get fired. So they better watch out. Only 2 of each item, and it has to be yellow or lower.
Exactly. And, I think Rugard, it's going to be a really interesting game here. And I'm very curious to see what killer he brings this first match. I imagine he's going to come out swinging. And I'm just kind of trying to think, who that's going to be. And
I actually don't know.
Like, who's the best killer?
I legitimately do not know, which is, I mean, I told him not to tell me because I didn't want to have any spoiler before the stream. Like I said, Ru, just don't tell me who you're bringing. But I want to, guess. And my guess is going to be a Legion. I think he would bring a Legion on his first game personally. I don't know. Maybe Legion, that's just me, but I know he's so strong with Legion. He's really good with Legions, so that's why he would probably bring him. And I mean, if you're good with it, it shouldn't matter what map you're on, right? I mean, for the most part.
That's true. That's true. I mean, I will say, though, there are definitely certain maps that are better for certain killers. And, as someone who really enjoys Legion, I don't look at Hawkins as much and go, Legion's what I want to bring. There's just so much that can go wrong in those tiles to where if they just get that extra little distance and you don't get that value out of that frenzy, I do get concerned with that. But if you just start whittling away at their health states really quickly.
Absolutely. And I'm not saying he ought bring Legion, by the way, just so we're clear. I'm not saying he should be bringing a Legion. I'm just saying I think he might, because I know he is a Legion player often. So we'll see how he does, though. But what else might be good, because he's also good at playing this one, is Hag. And I haven't seen him bring a Hag a lot yet. And Hag, not too bad on a map like this where, you can't really see the traps as easily. Because you're turning corners and stuff too quick. So maybe we'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I'd definitely be interested to see a Hag. My only, much like Legion, only concern there is the lack of, and the one thing I will say for this map, there's a lack of 3 and 4 gens. And I think that's why it's so survivor-sided, outside of, if you're able to do the correct number of gens in the right order. And that, I think, really does hurt killers, in the mid to the late game.
No, that makes sense. That actually makes a lot of sense. I'm just not sure. I really am not. I'm trying to imagine, like, what would I bring? And I probably would bring a Hag, because I know Hag can be really strong on this map. And in fact, indoor maps in general, she's really strong on. But at the same time, loop artists would know how to counter Hag pretty well, so it may not be the ideal choice,
This is true. This is true. And to be fair, Poggy, when don't you want to bring a Hag?
Hag facts, right? Exclamation mark Hag facts in the chat. I put that in there just because people were, making fun of me for being a hag main. And it's true. I love bringing hag. I love she's an excellent killer. People poo-poo hag, but she's really strong. I mean, in my opinion, of course. I mean, I'm not saying objectively. You have to be good at her to make her strong, obviously. Just like with any other killer. Like, if you're not good at Huntress, which, by the way, I've been playing Huntress lately, and I am... Oh, it's embarrassingly bad. I'm so sorry, everybody, at how bad at Huntress I am. But...
Foggy, are you an M1 Huntress?
No, I don't do that. I know, like, what to do. I just don't do it. Anyway, I don't do it right. So, everybody's fully readied up. We're going to get into game in just a moment. But first, we have a rules video for you guys. Hang on to your hats. Hello, everyone. We're going to be going over these rules and explaining how they work. So, 2 teams will go head-to-head, playing each role twice for a total of 4 trials. In play order is home team kills, survives, and then kills. In addition, teams get points in the trial for objectives, escapes, and hooks. And teams can't bring or use keys, iridescents, event items, or add-ons. Survivors can only bring 2 of a perk or item. Survivors can only bring yellow and brown items, and BP bonuses are awarded post-trial. Broken rules may result in penalties or restarts. Alright, folks, we're back here again with Week 4 matchups. Conference rivals, Undying Alliance versus Loop Artists. And I love their look. We're going to be watching Little Rugard playing against this team in just a minute. Undying Alliance going up against Loop Artists first as a killer. And they're loaded up now, so let's take a look. And he brought a Bubba. Oh, I don't know about that. I don't know about Bubba on this map. I'm not so sure, Rue.
This is interesting. This is an interesting play. There's a lot of tight corners and a lot of tight loops here. He's going to have to be on point to land these M2s.
You got to be really careful with those tantrums. Really careful. And that's what has me nervous immediately upon seeing a Bubba. I mean, he does get early pallet stun, which, I mean, it is what it is. That's exactly what you were just saying, is that you need to drop those pallets early, and they did. They dropped it early.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, when I played against them with Bubba, actually, on Cold Tower, that's what I saw from them every single time. They would drop without hesitation.
And, interesting mind game, I think, maybe? From Rugard? He might be a little... He might be confusing himself there a bit, because he almost had her. And is that a Lady Bubba, by the way? It is! Thank you, Rue, for bringing Lady Bubba. Oh, yes. He starts off his chainsaw, gets the pallet out early. He may actually be able to catch her here. If he plays this right. No, he's going to leave it. He's leaving that. Probably the smart play, because she is going to definitely give him a run for his money over that railing, which could be painful as killer to have to deal with that. I've dealt with it many times. I mean, you can get a hit or something, but ultimately it's not really worth it, as the chainsaw you're probably not going to land.
Yeah, realistically speaking, on that loop, with a Bubba, most you can get an M1.
And he does sneak up on Nia with a Tinkerer, is almost able to get up to her, but she does get the pallet stun. Very well played by Nia. Asteroid 61, man, getting that pallet stun quick.
It was risky, though. It was risky, especially right now. With Bubba, I would not risk dropping that any later. Right.
And I think he may actually get Nia here this time. Very nicely played. Does actually get her right at the edge of the locker. Gets a second down on... Wow, all for Delmo going down as well. Double down from Little Rugard. The only concern now is I've seen now 3 gens popping off with Tinkerer, which means that these gens are very far progressed. I'd already be feeling a lot of pressure if I were Little Rugard. Even though he's getting a hook and 2 early downs, which is great. I'm not going to poo-poo that at all. That's great. But... my goodness, they're going to get gens done very fast. These guys are no joke when it comes to gens. Please switch characters. Thank you. I'm sitting here trying to push the button and it ain't working. Thank you.
Yeah, but he's gonna get those 2 downs. Well. Yeah, to have those 2 downs, though, right there is a lot of pressure for him to have. And I think they're close enough to where he can pressure them pretty evenly and just ensure that second phase if he wants.
Right. I mean, he does have Pop Goes the Weasel, so he's using Pop Goes the Weasel effectively, getting those hooks and then getting those gens regress, those 2 that were very close to getting done. I think, he might actually get it down here, possibly. But he kind of made a mistake getting into the wrong spacing. A little bit of bad RNG, perhaps, on the map generation, and he got a little bit turned around and confused and went the wrong corner, which, to be fair, he didn't tantrum, so at least he pulled out of it carefully and was able to thread that needle out. but he did end up wasting time and losing the chase potential. And he still has a hook going, and I'm pretty sure that Asteroid just progressed to second stage.
Which I think he's pretty lucky to have that happen. I feel like they could have gotten that unhook a lot earlier, to be honest.
Yeah, absolutely. But actually, with 3 gens remaining, and now Nia being on second stage, this will be a death hook for Nia if she gets her down again. Unless she has DS, of course, then it could definitely be a problem. Claudetto definitely giving a run for his money. Let's see if she can hold it through. I think he might commit to this chase. Let's see what he does. Yeah, he is committing to the Claudette for a little bit. Does get the M1 hit. Unfortunately, not going to be able to get the chainsaw, so she is going to get some extra distance. Working her way to the second pallet. Not going to drop it early, and Bubba does deny chase further. Instead, probably working his way to find someone else. 3 players injured right now. 2 generators done. Current score 3-0 in favor of Loop Artist. For some reason... Wait, in favor of Undying Alliance. Sorry, I read that wrong. Yeah, there it is. Somebody, a little birdie heard me, because I was like, that should not be a 0. There's 2 gens done.
So here's a quick question, Foggy, as we see this chase kind of unfolding. Do you think it was the right move to not go for that Nia on Death Hook?
I don't think so. I would have gone straight for that Nia. I would have dedicated that moment to her for sure. I do think that may have been a mistake, especially now that she's over here working on gens, just getting stuff done. Like, that is a problem. She should be dead, in my opinion. Even if he'd waited out the DS perhaps or whatever, it's still a death, and that could be a lot of snowball potential for him going into the late game. And now 3 gens are done, 2 gens remaining, and he's definitely going to struggle at this point. They did get one of the upper gens, though, so that could be a problem for them as well, for Loop Artists. And now, of course, Nia's fully healthy. Ugh, this is not good.
Yeah, this went from a really, really strong position for Rugard to, I think, falling apart really quickly just based on that one decision to chase the Claudette over the Nia, to be honest with you.
I completely agree. I think going for that player was absolutely a mistake. Now full healed. All of them are healed. He's going to have to chase them all down, a fresh start, and he's going to either have to get M1s or go for chainsaws. I would obviously want to go for chainsaws because you get the insta-down, but sometimes they're just going to deny it. And Loop Artists, by the way, if you don't know this, trivia, Loop Artists used to be called Bubba's Bullies. They know how to play against Bubba. So that's, for me, an interesting choice to have even brought Bubba in the first place, but he probably could have done a bit better if he had gone for that Nia early on and gotten her out of the game.
100%. And I will say this, though, if we're looking at that middle of the map where all those loops are, he has denied a lot of resources, so I think if he does commit to one chase, he should be able to get it down here.
True. I mean, he has been kicking a lot of pallets, and while there are a lot of pallets on Hawkins, the fact that a lot of these are in the middle of the map for sure means that we're going to be seeing Little Rugard perhaps getting some really strong chase potential here in the late game, but generators are getting done. He has to be very careful about letting these drivers get some work done. Gets the down on Al for demo. Very nicely played by Little Rugard. He is going to get that down and going to get that hook probably immediately. Yeah, he's going to go for that hook and then probably go for the kick on that generator, but that pop goes to the Weasel. Very well played by Little Rugard.
Only thing that I will mention in the background that we did see was that second gen hitting Tinkerer and another gen pop on top of which.
Yeah, and there goes that gen. I mean, immediately went on another one. They did not waste any time. Found another gen, getting on it right now. There's someone else working another generator over there. Oh, this one's very close to finished. And Nia's the one doing it. If she was dead, she wouldn't be working on that gen, right? Right?
Yeah.
Just saying.
100%.
Unfortunate. However, now there are 2 players on Death Hook. I believe 4 total hooks if you... Well, 3 total hooks, but with a progression. But that generator is getting done. Oh, I don't think he's going to be able to stop that generator. Oh, no. Little Rugard, where are you? Where are you, my good man? There he is. He's behind the Claudette. So he is chasing down the Claudette, sort of, but I think he's going to abandon that to go for the exit gates.
And if he can find this Nia here, I think that's what he needs to do.
Oh, he went for all for Domo, which maybe is not the bad choice. I mean, she is on death. Does hear the gate to his left. He's going to probably try to go for it, but it's already going to be open. Dropping that pallet. Ooh, Nancy going to get some sprint burst away, and I think Nia's going to be getting out. I don't know that he's going to be able to get all for Domo on a hook or not. Let's see. There may be a DS in play. There's not. Very nice. And she is dead on hook, so he does at least get a 1K. Both gates get open. Claudette getting that last gate open. Nia got the other one. Very nicely done. And I'm pretty sure they're all getting out. I don't think there's anything more he can do here. That is an unfortunate start for Undying Alliance. Not a very strong opening for this killer. Ludo Rugard struggling. Which, I mean, on this map, shocking that these survivors are able to do so well. I mean, we did talk a little bit how they could do well, right? We did talk about that, about the strategy, and they got it. They know what they're doing. They dropped the pallets early, like you said. They just, you know, maintained dropping multiple pallets and using them as a loop together. They juked around his chainsaw. I mean, it was just so well played by this survivor squad. And a couple of mistakes by Little Rugard kind of sent him under.
Yeah,
And
I think
way,
realistically speaking, I'm interested in the build here. So Monitored Abuse, Tinker, Pop, and Discordance definitely makes a lot of sense in my opinion. I am actually interested, and we'll ask him about this later in the interview, why he didn't decide to bring Ruin Undying. On this map, there are some pretty good totem spawns. So I'm curious to the decision behind Pop here. Though Discordance makes perfect sense, and Monitored Abuse is honestly a no-brainer. To get that additional 8 meters on Bubba is just great in a chase.
right.
Score's
And
right.
thank you. I was going to say, I do think the score is correct, so we're going to go into the post-game review. We'll be right back after this. Hope you're enjoying the show, everyone. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're watching Week 4 matchup conference rivals Undying Alliance versus Loop Artists, and that was, you know, trial number 1. Let's just go into the post-game review. This is what you just witnessed. We saw, what the hell is that? What am I looking at? Poggy, what did you do? What did you do, Poggy? Oh, dear God. We're going to have to fix this live because I cannot allow this. I cannot allow this.
Poggy, what'd
Give
you
me,
break this
like,
time?
An eighth of a second. And fixed. Ha! See? I'm a genius. All right. 5 generators getting done. 0 escapes. I'm so sorry, folks. 4 hooks, though. That is rough for Little Rugard. That makes me sad. I weep for him. I know how he's feeling right now. I really do. I really, really do. I'm so sorry, buddy. And we saw 4 kills. Wait, no. Sam?
Nope.
What? Wait.
I believe we saw 3 escapes with 1
Help
kill.
me out here. Help me out here. Is this me that broke this, or... see,
I'm sorry,
there we go.
That looks much better.
Do you know how hard it is to answer messages and run a league
know.
and keep score? It is absolutely insanely difficult.
Oh dear God. Okay, so we got it now. Let's go over this one more time. I'm gonna start over. Watch this. All right, here we go. Okay, folks, we saw 5 generators getting done with 3 escapes, 0 hook. Oh dear. Okay, you know what? I'm just done. I'm done. Loop Artist leads going into trial number 2. Oh, the technical issues today are fabulous. This is what we have when we have Little Rugard not here with us keeping score, I guess. Anyway, let's get into the post-game highlights. Jesus. Please help me.
So, all right. You know, I'll give you a helping hand. You know, you can self-care in a corner while you're at it. So, you know, looking back at that last game, I think that there are some really big turning moments for Rugard. I think he had a ton of early game pressure, but I think he gave it away in the end with those 2 downs and only getting 1 person the second stage. On top of which, not going for that Nia, I do question. I actually didn't take note if Nia did have DS in hand. But, you know, in my mind as a killer, if I'm looking at a 50% chance of eating a DS, but also a 50% chance of getting someone completely out of the game that early, I think it's a no-brainer to tunnel down the Nia. And so, you know, to instead focus down the Claudette, who has not been on hook at all, I think just put him into such a bad position that he could just not get himself out of. Now, to be fair, he did get Feng Min all for Domo, you know, out of the match in the end. But by that point, it was a little bit too late, and we saw those 3 escapes. Now, you know, with that in mind, I think that there's still room for, you know, Undying Alliance to come back. You know, it is only a 12-point game right now, so it's going to be on their survivors to play just as efficiently as Loop Artists did. And we'll be able to see soon in Trial 2 if they'll be able to pull that out.
Oh, boy. I mean, nothing you just said was wrong, and that's what hurts my feelings, because I feel like The biggest blunder from Rugard was abandoning that Nia right here. He could have had her right here. She was on death hook, and instead he turns that way and goes for the Claudette. That was the biggest blunder of this game, in my opinion. And it could have been a completely different game just on the back of that one change. If he had just gone for the Nia, it could have been a 2K, even maybe a 3K, instead of basically a 1K, or actually pretty close to 0, because he only got, what was it, 3 hooks, 4 hooks? I don't know, because their endgame thing is all messed up. He got 3 hooks plus
the progression. Or technically 4 hooks plus the progression, because he did get the Thingman down 2 times into the 3rd hook.
Right. All right. So, I mean, it is what it is, folks. And hopefully he improves in his last game. I feel so bad for him. I really do, because I know he was stressed out before the game, and I hope he's not beating himself up and getting too nervous for the last game. I love Rugard. I'm not, like, rooting against Loop Artists here, just to be clear. I'm not like, God, how dare they do so good against him. I'm impressed. They did fantastic. I mean, they just looped the crap out of him. They gave him a run for his money for sure. But at the same time, I just can't help but feel bad for the guy. Pogard is a real thing. No, it's not. I lied. But anyway, we're getting back in now, and this is the team. Here we go. TX Nightwolf, Canadian Beast, Troon Toon, and Corporal Kamikaze with Temp Babylicious playing on Killer for Loop Artists. So we have Loop Artists now killing for the next 2 games in a row, and then after that, Undying Alliance will switch back and be playing Killer again. So that is the remainder of this stream for this one. And then we also have, by the way, another game at 10 o'clock, which is going to be 4 Dwights, 1 Locker versus Creepy Daddy Michaels. So stick around for that one as well if you want to see some epic plays.
Yeah, and I think, it's really good that Rugard does have some time to kind of cool off and kind of, take a look back at that last round. I think the biggest thing for him is going to be just determining the next killer, maybe taking a pivot based on how the Survivor team does and be able to reanalyze and go, okay, Bubba didn't go well for the formerly known Bubba's Bullies. Who do we want to bring in next? So I definitely think it'll be interesting to see how he pivots and, in the post-game interview, whether, it was a dramatic shift from what his initial plans were.
And while it's not traditional to get messages from the killers mid-game, he did say right here, Little Rugard says, I didn't go after the Nia because I didn't realize they went to second state. And I was also worried about the BT and wasting even more time. I could definitely see that. I could definitely see where your head was at there. But honestly, and just for me, head's got to be in that game. You got to be paying attention when those survivors get to second state. That way she's dead on Nook. I mean, I know that's hard. I'm not saying it's easy to do that by any means, but you gotta be there. You gotta be on top of it, and maybe just a little more coffee brew for the next one.
I will admit, with the new HUD update, it is a little bit more difficult to keep track of that. And with those smaller icons on the right-hand side, if you're not keeping that in mind and not really paying attention to those hook states, which the timer on those is very small now, I can definitely empathize with that and going, wait, did they go on death hook? Like, even today during my stream, I questioned many of times, wait, I didn't realize that Survivor's on death hook. Whoops.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And I'm not trying to beat up on him, I promise. I'm just saying that, you gotta like adapt. And even though the changes to the UI have made it difficult, you gotta be adapting. You gotta be practicing with that UI. You gotta be looking for those things and looking for those changes and just be on top. It's hard, but it can be done. So we'll see if Loop Artist has any better luck going up against Undying Alliance though with their killer. And I think they're almost fully rated up now. But yep. Chat is one on. Let's go Temp Baby. Some people rooting for Temp Babylicious. Very nice, yeah. The new killer. I don't think we've seen this killer before. This is a new one for me, anyway. You made it to the Hagfax. To be honest, you've won the whole conference. Yeah, it's true. Exclamation mark Hagfax. Absolutely. And oh, by the way, if you guys don't know this, you can actually go to vigoscourt.com to see all the current standings of all the different teams. You can also type in exclamation mark OOD or 4D1L or CDM, and it'll give you a direct link to that team so you can see all those team stats and their roster and all that stuff. So, you can, whatever team you like or you want to check out, you can do that. So anyway, they're loading up now for the next one. We're going to go ahead and do another rules video and be right back after this. All right, everyone, we're going to be looking at how the game works from the killer side. Now, killer points. Each survivor is worth a total of 6 points per survivor. First hook is 1 point, second is 2, and third is 3 points. Progressing is only 1 point. Killer bonus points. Every 5,000 blood points is 1 point. Getting to hatch first is also 1 point. A killer can only be used a total of 3 times in the season. Killers have a 150 millisecond ping limit. Also, should a reset occur, the killer and perks must remain the same. Bringing the wrong map is a forced reset, and minus 10 points. Bringing a killer a 4th time is 10 points off, and changing a build after is also 10 points. Not being on the roster is a 5 point and a reset. All right, folks, guess what? We're watching Week 4 matchup Conference Rivals Undying Alliance versus Loop Artist. Loop Artist is going to be killing right now. We're going to be jumping into that in just a second. Still loading. We're still on the load screen. And hope you guys are having a fantastic Saturday. I'm pretty sure it's Saturday where you are, right? It's Sunday where I am. Sunday at 7:30 or 8:30 a.m. But I'm pretty sure where you guys are in the U.S., it's not Sunday yet. So... anyway, they've loaded in. And we're here with TX Knight. Well, Temp Babyless is playing a Wraith. A Wraith, not a bad choice on this map. And by the way, Wraith was just recently reworked. His invisibility, got a little stronger. So maybe we'll see it play out. I don't think she sees him, no. Kate only just now spotting the Wraith, I think, maybe. If she saw him at all. I'm not even sure if she turned around. I can't tell anymore if Survivor's actually turned around. But yeah, that invisibility is supposed to be more true, right? Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so the invisibility is truer from a certain distance, and then kind of goes into that shimmer again within a certain meter. I forget the exact numbers that they put out, but I think the real buff to Wraith is that additional 0.25 seconds of speed burst that he gets coming out of Cloak. It is a lot more powerful than I initially expected.
Yeah, and... I think I'm going to have to agree with him. I mean, we saw it kind of play there at that pallet where he basically just jumped into her. Now, that could be chalked up to dedicated server. Or it could be any number of things. I don't actually know the reason why. I've seen that a lot. I don't know if it's a dedicated thing or what. But if you guys don't know what I'm talking about when he like kind of jumped into the other side of the pallet and got stunned. It's something I've been seeing a lot lately, even as killer myself. And he is now chasing after... Who is this? Troontoon. He's chasing after Troontoon.
And as we are seeing this chase, I will admit that with Wraith, it's actually a pretty common occurrence because of that speed burst, that survivors just don't know when to time that pallet stun, and very often will throw it down a little bit late. And when that happens, they just end up on the same side as you, either if you down on the ground or you looking around seeing what the hell just happened.
Ooh, and Fang doing body block there. That's not a Fang. That is a Nancy. She looked like Fang, though, in the shadows. And she does get body blocked, and I think Troontoon is... No, not going for the save, but Nancy was. Nancy went back around for the save. Oh, I think that was a mistake. Oh, she kind of like went back to the hook while Wraith was like just right there. That might not have been very wise. Copper Kamikaze went down. Now he's got 2 downs.
Well, not only that, but Wraith is now one of the strongest positions you can be as a killer with 1 person down and 1 person on hook.
Yeah, and basically, just like last game, the very first person to get hooked, Canadian Beast, is now going to be on 2nd stage already, so he's going to be on 3rd hook if he gets hooked again. Is he going to go for it, and is he privy to it? I'm curious if Temp Babylicious was paying attention and saw him progress, which I think he did. I'm pretty sure he saw that. Yeah, he's going to go for it, and no DS either. Oh, he's going to be dead. That's a DET dead player right there. Unfortunate, isn't it? Oh, no, that's Purple Kamikaze.
Well, no, so, yep. Yeah, Kamikaze ended up getting down up top.
Nancy and Kate are very similar looking, okay? Give me a break. I'm doing my best. Anyway, he does get Canadian Beast down again, though, who is the one who is on 2nd stage and may actually go back for that hook after the potential DS cooldown, which is probably what he's waiting for. Troontoon now, though, in a chase, could go down as well. Chasing around one of these pallets is now going to wait over here by this one patiently to see if he comes back around, but no, he's not following. Instead, he is going for the hook on Canadian Beast, and that'll be 3rd hook already for Canadian Beast 5-5. So yeah, that is now the 3rd hook.
Yep, and I think if we compare this game to last, this is a good example of where you get that first survivor out on 4-3 gens, and it's going to turn the tide very quickly. Unless they really and efficiently manage these gens, I'm not sure how Undying Light is going to come back from this.
Honestly, the survivors are making a lot of bizarre plays that I think are absolutely mistakes. Like the one where they kind of ran closer to the hook, that was really weird. I probably would have done that. It allowed the progression to happen. It's unfortunate that that's what went down, but maybe just a lack of communication. I don't know, but hopefully they can pull it together. But at this point, with one generator done and another down on Troon, this is going to be a rough game for Undying Alliance. And Wraith maybe showing his new strength, his new power, is buff, probably pretty strong. And now everybody's injured. Getting a whiff, though, on Cheryl may actually be able to get away.
Well, I think one thing that we're actually seeing...
Well.
I think one thing that we're seeing here actually might not just be the buff with Wraith, but also this add-on where you're able to see Survivor's auras within 12 meters, especially if a lot of walls here. You get a ton of info at all points in time while cloaked.
Carnage Rule says Kate doesn't look like a teenager. I didn't say she did. I just said she looked like Nancy. That's all. All right. Okay, now Troon lining up for the chase again. He's probably going to drop this pallet early. He does. Wraith going to fake his bell. And Troon getting caught out of position. Gonna dead hard forward to the next pallet. Drops the pallet. Gets the stun. Very nicely played by Troon. Isn't going to be enough, though. He's trying to chaining these pallets together a little bit. Very nicely played as well by Troon to get that one. But it may be too little too late for these survivors, as Wraith now has a strong advantage. So even though they're getting generators done, they're not going to be able to get them all done, I don't think. And now Troon does go down. Kind of strange to commit to that gen right there. But maybe just, again, Wraith, just true invisibility, a problem for these teams right now.
I think, honestly, that Undying Alliance is just in the mindset now, just try and get as many points as possible, you know, at least try and slow the bleeding in the end.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at this point, if it was me, I would just be denying. Like, I wouldn't even be going for the unhooks at this point. I would just be going for a gen somewhere the killer isn't, maybe sneaking around, but not really going to work out. Nancy getting into the chase with Wraith once again. Going to drop the pallet early. May actually get this vault just in time. Let's see if she does. Oh, does land the hit on her before she's able to get over the window vault. That was a close one. But it did end up working out for Wraith, unfortunately for Nancy. However, she is only injured. Another generator popping, though. They're still getting gens done. 3 gens off the table from Undying Alliance, even though they only have 3 survivors. I'm actually surprised by that. I didn't expect that. Oh, where was he? Where was he? I thought he was coming back to the hook, but he was over here by Nancy. I'm so sorry. I missed that.
That was definitely surprising to see that down so close.
Yeah, I was too. And, oh no, Troon going down again. He's going to go for Corporal Kamikaze, I'm pretty sure. Leave Troon on the ground. Being afraid of DS, of course, is something you want to be concerned about. Oh, and a basement hook as well. This could be devastating. This is where it's probably going to be closing up shop for this team. Corporal Kamikaze might end up just holding on long enough for Cheryl to get a save or something, but... no, I don't know what the play is here. I don't know what the play is here. As Survivor, what do you do in this situation? I mean, other than from the perspective of just deny the points from the killer to get more and more and more hooks by unhooking, like, is there any coming back from this?
No, there really isn't. And fact of the matter is, I think, you know, that may have been a bad read by Undying Alliance, not understanding, you know, the add-ons that Wraith has, and seeing that this Wraith just has so much information at all points in time. You know, there's no killer object of obsession, but that add-on might as well be just that, because he has unlimited knowledge of where these survivors are on this map.
Right. That is the all-seeing blood that he's talking about as well. And, oh, goodness, that's a tough one. And now double hooked. Corporal Kamikaze is still on hook. Troon, he's going to leave him on the ground, I suspect, just waiting a few more seconds for perhaps a DS. Or maybe you're going to see if Cheryl decides to, like, I don't know, use Deliverance to get off the hook or something. I don't know what he's waiting for, but he's waiting nonetheless. Corporal Kamikaze now dead on hook as well, progressing to 3rd stage. Oh, such a stronger showing from Loop Artist than we saw in Undying Alliance's first game. Going to give them a strong lead. And he is waiting patiently. This is the right move by the...
Yeah, this is the right move by the Wraith 2 to wait until to Cheryl going to 2nd phase, because if she does have Deliverance and as well as DS on top of which, it would force him into a bit of an awkward position where he has to chase 4 hatch.
Yeah, and we see him looking back over and over again just to make sure like they don't get off that hook. He just wants to be sure. And I can spoil it for you. she doesn't have deliverance. She's gonna die. So, and you know, also to be fair, TX Nightwolf is making a smart play here. He is not 4%ing. He's not even giving him a chance to 4%. He does not want to feed any more hooks to this killer. Instead, he's gonna go ahead and just allow himself to go into second stage and then die. So, probably as far as plays go at this point, optimal for the scoring system. But early on in this game, there was just so many mistakes from the Survivor Squad and just really strong plays from Wraith as well. And that's the result right there. Tough game to watch, but it is what it is. It was fun for sure. There we go. Wow. And the build, just so you have it in your head now, you can give me a little feedback on it, is Undying, Pop Goes the Weasel, Corrupt, and Hex Ruin.
Interesting. I'm surprised to see the Undying, Ruin, and Pop. You know, personally, I would definitely have gone for Undying, Ruin, as I mentioned earlier, just based on the totem spawns of this map. But to see Pop as backup, though I do respect it, I normally would see that with just Ruin by itself and then Pop and replacing, Hex Undying with something else, right? So I'm definitely surprised to see, 3 theoretically gen regression perks in play here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's not the build I would have gone with. I get it, though. I understand. I mean, because he has all the tracking he needs with that all-seeing blood. I mean, he does. I mean, you don't really need much more than that. Especially on a map this kind of size like this with all these walls you can kind of see through with this. So, I mean, you don't really need a whole lot of tracking or anything. But as far as gen regression goes, I probably would have done something more like one-hit downs, perhaps Haunted Ground with Devour Hope Undying, and maybe Pump Goes the Weasel. But, I mean, he gave what he gave, and that's what we saw. So, and it worked out. He got a lot of downs, but maybe could have had a few more hooks in total as opposed to what he got if he had brought some more one-hit down potential.
Absolutely. Well, it looks like score is right.
Yeah, I think so.
Awesome.
So, ladies and gentlemen,
I mean,
let's do the post-game review, and we'll come right back for some highlights in just a second. Hopefully, it's not broken now. Let's Let's see what happens. Ladies and gentlemen, we are watching Week 4 matchup conference rivals Undying Alliance versus Loop Artists. It has been a strange and curious set of games so far, with Undying Alliance struggling from both sides right now. We saw trial number 2, this is what you witnessed, 3 generators getting done with 0 escapes. So far, so good, by the way. And we also saw how many hooks? I think 7 hooks. Yeah, that's exactly right. And we also saw 4 kills. So really well played by the killer for sure. I mean, nothing to sneeze at. Loop Artist 20 to Undying Alliance's 6. Going into trial number 3, we're going to see Loop Artist still leading very strong. And let's see if they can maintain that lead with their next killer. I don't know who they're going to bring, but God, this killer really came in with a strong showing. Not getting like a 12-hook game, but still enough to keep that lead strong. And here are the highlights. You can give me a little bit of feedback as we get ready for the next game.
Yeah, absolutely. I honestly was really impressed with the showing of Wraith, and I think it really highlights a number of different things. Wraith's add-ons with that all-seeing blood just coming in with a ton of information throughout this game. That 12 meters worth of aura reading on all survivors while cloaked with a purple windstorm, I think that's flawlessly to his advantage. And I think the second thing to mention here is the fact that this Wraith kind of did the opposite of what we saw last game, where he was able to use to his advantage someone going into second phase and getting an early out. On top of which, he found himself in one of the strongest positions a killer can be, where there's one person down near a hook and one person on a hook. At that point in time, you need to at least have one person commit to the unhook, which might end up in a 1-for-1, and have only one person on generator at 4 or 5 gens. I don't think that there was any real way for them to get out of that without a major misplay on the race part. And to say the least, they were able to capitalize off the, I think, mistakes of the survivors and close out the match flawlessly.
And thank you very much for that analysis. I couldn't agree more. And I just want to point out, though, the contrast between these two killers, between Real Rugard and between the killer that we saw for Undying Alliance. I'm sorry, Loop Artist. And the contrast for me was that he just had so much more pressure overall. And I think that was where we saw Undying Alliance's killer struggle a little bit, is just not having enough pressure, like relinquishing a lot of his pressure with Bubba in his early game. And it's just really rough. Bubba maybe on this map wasn't a great choice. I mean, being indoors for one thing, but also going up against a team that used to be called Bubba's Bullies and knows how to counter Bubba pretty well may not have been an ideal a choice just in general. But however, in his defense, we didn't see a single tantrum, I don't think. So, I mean, there is that.
That's true.
There is that. Anyway, we're about to go into game number 3 as well. So just so you know, we are readying up. Here's the team again. And again, the same squad and the same killer as well. There you go. That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, as we have a little bit of time, I will say I think the killer choice definitely played a huge part in this. And I actually didn't think about it at the time, but you're right. Rugard did really a great job of using Bubba's chainsaws and not tantruming a single time. I think that it definitely shows his ability to navigate this map in that fashion. But to have Wraith of that Purple Windstorm running at, I think, Legion speeds around a 138 square tile map, as small as it is already, and having the All-Seeing Blood to have that info at all times, I think, that's where Wraith surprisingly was just a very oppressive killer.
Right. Oh, guys, it's tough because I want to root for, little Rugard's team, but I can't help but just feel a little bit of disappointment at what we're seeing. I wish we were seeing something a bit stronger. Now, I did talk a little bit about the build on the Wraith, and I was a little bit concerned about, all the gen regression, but, I mean, it worked out. To me, though, the new gen regression is just one hit down. So that's the new slowdown, just one hit down chases. And I think that's what the meta is going to start to change to. We saw a little bit yesterday with the Devour Hope and the Undying Devour Hope, and I wanted to see a Haunted Ground with it. We didn't see that, but that would have been nice. Haunted Ground, Devour Hope, Undying. Anyway, let's jump into this last real video. They're readying up, so we're about to go in now to trial number 3. All right, folks, we're looking at how the Survivors side earns their points, and let's look at all their objective score points, counting down from 5 generators. 5 and 4 are worth 1 point each. 3 and 2 gens are worth 2 points each, and 1 is worth 3 points. 1 escape is worth 1 point. 2 escapes is worth 2 points. 3rd escape is worth 4 points, and the 4th escape a total of 5 points. Every 16,000 scored is worth 1 point. First to hatch also gets 1 point. Survivor penalties: bringing banned or limited items, perks, or add-ons is minus 10 points. Changing build after reset is also minus 10 points. And starting with the wrong skin or avatar or a non-listed roster player is minus 5 points as well. All right, folks, we're looking at how the Survivor side earns... Okay, ladies and gentlemen and other. We're here week 4 matchup conference rivals Undying Alliance and Loop Artists. I hope you guys are enjoying your evening because I am. These games are exciting. Hawkins just being a fun map in general to be witnessing because it's not something we get to see a lot of these indoor maps in this league. It's the only team with an indoor map. We're back here again, though, with TX Nightwolf. We also have Temp Babylicious again now bringing a Legion. I called a Legion earlier for Little Rugard, but no, we see Temp Babylicious on Loop Artist bringing a Legion, which let's see how he does with it. You were talking about it a bit. What do you think of Legion again on this map? Just to remind everybody on what your thoughts were.
Yeah, I think Hello. Sorry, got a little bit distracted by a Bunny Legion just popping out of nowhere, hitting that Felix. That was a little bit unexpected, to say the least. But I think my major concern with Legion here is just, if they're able to loop correctly and extend that chase to the point that Feral Frenzy fizzles out. But as we saw there already, that's 2 people hit with the Feral Frenzy and onto a 3rd chase. This is going to be a bad time for Undying Alliance at the beginning of this match with Corrupt Intervention still having, I think, 1 minute and 30 seconds in play.
Yeah, there's about a full minute left of Corrupt Intervention, and yeah, that's going to be rough. But at the same time, Legion kind of dropping some of his early pressure now that he had completely losing all of the survivors, which is unexpected to say the least. He should have been able to track at least one of them. He does finally pick up again with Troontoon. May actually be able to get Troontoon down if he plays this right. Does whiff, though. Unfortunately, Troontoon going to get out just barely and may actually be able to get away from him. If he goes downstairs, finds himself a pallet or a safe window, and he is actually going to completely get away from the Legion. I think Legion may be switching targets, perhaps. Kind of seems to be falling around Troontoon. Does find him over here around this unsafe pallet. Troontoon, he's going to dead hard forward. Very well played to get away from the Legion. But now that Legion knows he doesn't have it anymore. Oh, and I think he got turned around thinking that he was looping that, but unfortunately, Troontoon went outside of it. Does drop the pallet. I think a little bit of Dedicated there might have got him down. 1 generator getting done in the process, so 1 for 1.
Yeah, that's a surprising down right there. I definitely agree with the dedicated analysis. I do want to point something out on that Legion real quick. I do not see that green button being used all too often on Legion. I'm definitely very curious to see that decision and what the decision making behind that is. But obviously, with the mural sketch extending his Fatal Frenzy duration by, I think, about 20% is pretty significant here.
Right. And he does find Canadian Beast is going to get the hit and going to use his killer instinct to find the other survivors and get some more hits on them as well, which is what we were talking about with the Legion. He's very good at getting hit after hit after hit, and these survivors kind of did heal up completely, which, you know, not bad, but they also got 2 generators done. He does get TX Nightwolf down, though. Very interesting to get that stun and then get the down around it. That was a bad play by TX Nightwolf, I think. Oh, man.
It was a bad play by Nightwolf, and it was a great play by Legion. One thing that I preach to my viewers all the time when I play Legion is do not throw pallets on Legion while in Fatal Frenzy. His fatigue goes from a 4-second fatigue without add-ons down to a 2-second, fast enough to get a hit if you are on the same side of the pallet, and we saw that right there.
Yeah, that was a very instinctual, perhaps, mistake. Very amateurish error, I think, to make. It's something that even I'm aware of, and I'm not even that good of a survivor, really. I'm actually quite bad at Survivor. But I do know that you shouldn't be dropping those pallets early like that on a Legion when he's using his power. Unless, like, you know, there's a really, really, really good reason to. But I don't think there was one. And, of course, he went down, got a hook as well. That's it, right there.
Yeah, I don't think there's ever a reason to drop a pallet on a Fatal Frenzy Legion.
Oh, and Troon gonna get bummed by that safe pallet, unfortunately. So now that's going to be another hook on Troon. TX Nightwolf getting unhooked, all survivors injured, and working on generators at the same time. They might actually be able to pull out some more gens here. They did get 2 done early. Is it going to be enough, though, for them to do that? TX Nightwolf wasting his sprint burst, though. That's the thing about sprint burst. This is why I don't like sprint burst, because it's very easy to just accidentally or even on purpose just like run around and forget that you have sprint burst. And I can't handle it because you got to just walk around or keep it 99. It's one of the two.
Yep, I do it all the time. And why I view sprint burst less of a get away perk and more of a get to the next gen quicker perk, to be honest.
Sure, yeah. But anyway, we do see Corporal Kamikaze going down, and of course, that'll be Corporal Kamikaze's first hook. 3rd hook now that'd be 4th hook now for Temp Babylicious. And he is going to use his power to get further across the map and get a Pop Goes the Weasel, I think, on one of these gens.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what's on mind here. Now, if I was him, I'd be looking for this Felix. We know full well that they're on 2nd hook, but instead he does find the Cheryl.
And I do want to point out also, this is something that Tide was talking about the other day, and I guess I have to keep echoing it because I completely agree. We saw that this killer brought Ruin, Undying, and Pop Goes the Weasel, and I just don't love it. I really don't love it. Because you're like setting yourself up for being a no-perk killer or a 1-perk killer, because now he also doesn't have Corrupt Intervention. So literally this killer is running with 1 perk, Pop Goes the Weasel right now. And he got almost no value out of Ruin. He got some value out of Corrupt, but not really. So, I mean, yeah, 3 gens got done already. Even though these survivors are kind of making mistakes, they're still getting gens done.
Yeah, no, I'll agree. I definitely think it's strange to see both Pop, Ruin, and Undying, as I mentioned last game as well. Is it the wrong play? Not necessarily, but does it leave yourself at a disadvantage if an instance that they do get Ruin, Undying? You know, you are left with Pop. Corrupt Intervention, I do think, is good on killers like Legion because it does allow you that early game pressure to go for that 1, 2, 3 hits and then possibly an early down into 2nd phase. But we didn't see that here, so I think that may have been, you know, a bad use of Corrupt Intervention in the long run. I think in this league, the way to use it to its fullest, in my opinion, is to get someone down inside of active gens and literally camp them until 2nd phase, ensuring that you can still apply pressure to only the active gens available.
Right, and we did see Troon take a 3rd hook. I'm pretty sure that was a 3rd hook. Was it a 3rd hook progression, though? Did he die on hook immediately? Is that the hook bug?
I didn't see him come off the hook.
He was hooked and died immediately. He was dead on hook, so that is a 3rd hook.
Yep.
That is a 3rd hook.
Y'all correct me if I'm wrong.
It's listed on the score sheet as a progression. That's why I was asking. But no, it was a 3rd hook, for sure. So you can delete the hook progression and change it over to the red 3rd hook. Anyway, so, I mean, there's so much about what you said that was absolutely right. And I just have to say, though, that unless you're on like pubs, I don't really see where I would bring Ruin and Pop Goes the Weasel at the same time. It's when you're in comp like this, I just don't think it works. And we've seen over and over again that either you lose Ruin immediately, which is what happened, or you just don't ever get to use Pop because Ruin's up the entire game. Like, it's one of the two. It's never been somewhere in the middle, so far anyway. And that's why I can't justify it. TX Nightwolf goes down at the pallet. That was an unsafe pallet, and I think Legion played that perfectly. And that'll be second hook for TX Nightwolf.
That was a very, very weak pallet to kind of play around, especially while injured. And, definitely gave them some time. But the fact of the matter is they got a hook right next to this 99 gen. And we do actually see a little bit of value from Pop here, where he's able to, instead of get that, 100% regression and getting that 25% regression one hit right there. So, this is where we do see that little bit of value that out of Pop, since Ruin and Undying are down.
But I mean, imagine though if this M1 killer had, Hex Ruin, or not Hex Ruin, Hex Devour Hope, where you could get one-hit downs. Right about now, he'd be getting a lot of one-hit downs, and perhaps even be able to Mori kill someone. He could be doing a lot more damage if he just wasn't a one-perk killer, if he had brought something else that could have been a little stronger. Because if the survivors didn't have Ruin to deal with, it might be the case that they're not even going to go for any totems until they see the need to. It could be that they're afraid of Devour Hope and might break totems, but then that's where you bring in the Haunted Ground to try to protect it as well. So, I mean, there's just so much more that you could do with your perks than just all this gen regression, which we've seen in both games from this killer. Now, he is chasing after the Nancy right now. Nancy taking a hit, of course, going to get out of this power already. He breaks the power. Now chasing after TX Nightwolf, I think. No, he's switching targets, actually, going the other direction, going to see if he can find someone else. And, this is where if you had like a tracking perk or something, that you wouldn't be running around aimlessly lost while there's 3 stars alive who can work on gens, It's painful because I hate to see it, but that's what it is.
No, absolutely. And I also want to call out something that I did notice there, Repressed Alliance, which is definitely not a perk that you see all too often.
It's kind of been used a lot in this league. I don't want to say it's meta per se, but it could be potentially. We have seen quite a bit of it. I mean, if we're seeing a lot of Pop Goes the Weasel, which we are, I definitely think that you could call it meta. We've seen Pop Goes the Weasel a lot in this league, even with Ruin and even without Ruin. So there have been occasions where we've seen both. And oh no, Corporal Kamikaze going down inside the pallet is going to be another down, and Canadian Beast is going to possibly die on hook. He might actually camp this area. There's really no reason to leave this area now. Going to kick the generator with Pop Goes the Weasel. Might even, no, he's not going to break that. He's not going to break any of these pallets. I'd start breaking at least one of these pallets to break up the potential for looping. But at the same time, he probably doesn't really need to. This will be second hook for Corporal Kamikaze. Canadian Beast quite possibly going to die on progression. No, of course not. TX Nightwolf does go in for the save, possibly risking the team entirely by doing that, because now Canadian Beast again going to go down and going to feed another hook to the killer after he gets off. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, to be honest, I don't think there's a reason for Legion to break those pallets, to be honest with you, just due to the fact that they are so weak.
Sure.
And I think it's actually advantageous for Legion to keep those there to break up their loops and force them into these 50-50 mind games that they would have to work around, especially as I think at this point he has recognized there is no life in play.
Well, I might have to disagree slightly, because the only reason I said that is because those pallets were really close together, so you can loop them together as a survivor. Okay. So I would have said maybe break up one of them, but, I kind of get where you're coming from. And he does now chase after the Cheryl TX Nightwolf, and he's going to drop that second pallet, just like we were talking about. He drops the second pallet. Perfect play, but however, TX Nightwolf gets outside of it and goes down anyway. That'll be third hook for TX Nightwolf, and Corporal Kamikaze and Canadian Beast are both on third hook as well. They need to get that last gen done if they have any hope of surviving this at all. Now, we do know where Hatch is, or at least they do. I don't know if they remember. That's the one thing about indoor maps, is trying to remember where in the hell Hatch is once you've found it.
I do want to call out there that Unbreakable play. I believe, I think it was Corporal Kamikaze was on the ground and then used Unbreakable to get back up and get that unhook. At the end of the day, though, is that the right play? Should they be trying to save, save themselves for the next round and deny points? Or are they just trying to push out this last gen? To be honest, at this point in the round where they only were trying to prioritize one gen, I think it's really a mistake that they weren't just trying to deny points here.
I have to actually agree with you. I would have probably just stayed dead and just let him get those last, that last hook on you. But now he has the potential to get an extra hook, and I mean that could be, if he gets both of these guys down, that's going to be a 12-hook game. There's no coming back from that for Undying Alliance if that happens, and I don't think there's any coming back from it at all anyway. For what we're seeing with the score right now, 61-43 right now in favor of Loop Artist. They can only score a maximum of 32 points, 33 points, and so I mean, it's just not possible. I don't think, but
31
he does get a
points.
whiff. 31 points. Thank you, Sam. I know I always forget the number. I'm so sorry. It doesn't matter if it was 33 anyway, because it's still not going to be enough. But the point is taken that I should know those numbers.
And I think we're just seeing the end of this match here. We also see on Kamikaze here, no unbreakable, and this Kate being chased to death. It's only a matter of time before this Legion's last M1 connects.
Yeah, there it is right there. That's the last M1, and that's going to be a double hook. Now, the only chance is if the other survivor happened to crawl over to Hatch, which, of course, they didn't. They're still sitting up here. They've recovered completely. Hatch is probably too far away to be crawled to anyway, and he's going to get a freaking 12-hook game, this killer. Devastating.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, this is definitely the nail in the coffin of, this match as a whole. And, I'm still interested to see what Rugard's going to bring. I still want to see him, take out all the stops and...
I see Hatch there. He maybe actually could have crawled to it if he had been crawling instead of recovering. Oh, my Lanta. Oh, I feel so
I'll be
bad.
honest, I didn't even realize that Hatch was that close.
I didn't either. I thought it was a little further away on the other side of the map, but, again, indoor maps, where the hell is Hatch? But he did get basically a perfect game, 12-hook game. Not a perfect score for some reason, but the blood point only 30,000. I don't really know what happened there, but he got a perfect game otherwise. And just, I mean, the Legion really did. I can't hate on it. Here was his build, by the way. We did talk about it already a little bit. Corrupt Intervention, Hex Ruin, Hex Undying, and Pop Goes Weasel. And you were talking about the Legion pin, which, of course, hitting a survivor highlighted by Killer Instinct, while the Pharaoh Friendly applies the broken status effect for 60 seconds. And that was what we saw a lot of there. So, what do you think of the build? I mean, well, do we need to rehash it? I don't know.
Scores right.
The audience might not have been there for some of that, so maybe fill them in just a little bit. After this, we'll come back for the post-game review, and then we can talk about this a little bit more.
Yep.
Okay, ladies and germs, we saw Week 4 conference rivals, Undying Alliance versus Loop Artist. Yeah, you've been watching Vigo's Court. This is your trial number 3 post-game review. This is what you witnessed, I hope. Generators, 4 of them getting done. I mean, not bad by the survivors. It could have been a lot more, but 0 escapes. Lots of mistakes by the survivors that just led to this eventuality with 12 hooks from the killer and a 4K. So, I mean, obviously, if you got 12 hooks, you're getting a 4K. There's one more matchup, but in this one, we got 31 points, a perfect score by the killer with 10 for Undying Alliance. Loop Artist leading going into trial number 4, and I think it's game over as well. That is going to be GG. I mean, they have to play out the last game, but there's no coming back for Undying Alliance. And here is your post-game highlights, and you can talk a little bit more about the build that we saw.
Yeah, so we did see an interesting build. I think Corrupt Intervention's the right play for Legion, in my opinion. I think he, along with killers like Plague, Doctor, where you can really apply that early game pressure, Corrupt Intervention just does wonders. And if you're able to get those early downs within those first 2 minutes, ideally I'd say within the first 30 seconds to minute, then, you get a ton of Corrupt Intervention value. The interesting part, in my opinion, though, is seeing Pop, Ruin, and Hex Undying being used together. As we said before, and we're saying during the match, to see those 3, it ends up in a situation to where you as a killer are playing with one perk, which is Pop. Now, to be fair, I will defend it here a little bit, since we saw a decent amount of value. That last gen was at 99.9% on those 4 cylinders, and we saw how that hook nearby ended up regressing that generator pretty significantly. And without that, it's possible that the Legion would not have resulted in the same game that we saw in front of us now. So there is some defense to be had for that build, just in case those Hex totems go early, and if the survivors kind of, smarten up about them, as they obviously did here. So interesting. I don't think it's the best choice, but I saw the value. That much I can say.
I can see where you're coming from, but I mean, was it a lot of value? I mean, it was just one time that we really saw it happen, and then the perk went down. So, I mean, it was some value, but was it worth a perk slot? And that's what I have to be asking myself as a killer, is it worth the perk slot? And to me, the answer was no.
That's where I agree with you on that. And I think that may actually speak less for the killer in the perk here, and maybe a mistake on the survivor side. We did see them prioritizing only one gen in the end game. The other two gens were left untouched. And I think that may have really truly been the nail in the coffin for them at the end here. You know, even with 3 people up, you know, you can still split gens and apply pressure elsewhere. And without that passive gen regression, you know, he might be able to pop that one gen downstairs, but the gen upstairs is, you know, 99 or 70%. Then what is he going to do then? You split 2 and 2, and you at least get that 5th gen out of the way and maybe get a 1-person escape at the very least. So I do think that was possibly a major mistake on the survivors in that regard.
Yeah, I definitely have to agree with you 100%. So, I mean, while the killer's build was ho-hum, probably not ideal, it could have done a lot better with their comp build, but, I mean, at the same time, the survivors made enough mistakes that Legion could just capitalize on it, and, you know, maybe too much healing, maybe not enough healing, I don't know. That one's always tough for me, because, I mean, it depends on how the Legion's playing, and in this case, I think they maybe healed too much, but we also saw them, just like you said, making a bunch of other mistakes in chase and things like that, and I don't know. Tough one to watch, but at the same time, we do have one more game to go through. You know, we do play it out, even though it is a loss for Undying Alliance at this time. And we're going to be seeing that in a minute. They're already getting ready. We're going to go ahead and keep letting the clips play for a moment so you can enjoy that a bit longer. And Little Rugard will be playing Killer again. I was thinking about what Killer I would bring next, but of course, with a loss that we know is a guaranteed loss, you're going to want to burn a Killer, because in the league here, we can only bring one Killer 3 times throughout the entire 14 weeks of the season, so you just want to probably burn a Killer that you wouldn't necessarily be very good with later on, or that's not very strong, like Trapper or, you know, something like that. Clown. No, Clown maybe got reworked, so perhaps, but...
I will say, you know, speaking about Clown real quick, those agitation bottles are actually something else. I was playing around with Clown, and I think there's a lot of potential for him to move up in the tier list, and I would love to see someone in this league, who knows, maybe I'll bring it out, a match of Clown. I think he is much more viable now than what he used to be, and I think he is probably upward of a B to possibly like a B+ tier killer. So I'll be interested to see, you know, how he's used in the hands of the killers in this league.
I would probably need to see a bit more Clown first to know, because I mean, I think I would agree with you. He's definitely an improved killer. Like, he's no longer DF tier like he probably was before. Again, just my opinion. I never really liked Clown, but you know, maybe now C, B+, perhaps. Yeah, I could see it. I mean, his reload time is faster. The new bottles he has is faster. So maybe you don't want to burn a Clown because it could be potentially useful later on. But if it were me, I'd probably bring a Trapper or something like that just to burn that out of the way. And we'll see what Rue brings for that last killer. That's so sad, though. But yeah, Loop Artist took the win today, guys. That is pretty much it right there. Unless there's like some massive grievances that come from, you know, fouls, or like they all bring something horrible to just back up their score accidentally. But they're not going to do that. These guys know what they're doing, and they're professionals. So we'll see how they do. Anyway, they're loading in now. The loading screen has started. We're about to go, and we're going to roll that last rules video for you. We'll be back in just a moment. Hang tight. Keep your seats. We're here in Vigo's court, and we love you so much, audience. Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. We're going to be going over these rules and explaining how they work. So, 2 teams will go head-to-head, playing each role twice for a total of 4 trials. In play order is home team kills, survives, and then kills. In addition, teams get points in the trial for objectives, escapes, and hooks. And teams can't bring or use keys, iridescents, event items, or add-ons. Survivors can only bring 2 of a perk or item. Survivors can only bring yellow and brown items, and BP bonuses are awarded post-trial. Broken rules may result in penalties or restarts. Okay, ladies and gentlemen and other, we're here week 4 matchup, conference rivals, Undying Alliance, and Loop Artists. So this is going to be trial number 4. This is the last trial of the evening, and we're going to see how they play it out. These teams are definitely not happy with each other, I think. One is like, ha, we're winning, we're kicking your butt, and the other one's like, oh god, this sucks. And yeah, he brought a trapper. I told you, I called it. He's gonna bring a trapper. Of course he's gonna burn a trapper. Even the audience was calling it. Why not burn trapper? And that's exactly what he does. Now, at the same time, that doesn't mean he's gonna play badly. It's not like he's gonna just start all of a sudden just being a really bad killer. He's just gonna, you know, burn the killer out. Now, he does want to definitely try. He wants to maintain his status in that leaderboard. He's level 3 on the leaderboard. So he definitely wants to keep that. And we did see a totem drop early, too.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for Aru here is going to be having to just, you know, have appropriate trap placements. It's great and all to trap out those pallets, but, you know, you need to cut off loops ahead of time to where they're not expecting it. And I think these survivors, you know, they play against their fair number of trappers, so I'll be interested to see if they fall for them during these chases.
Yeah, exactly. And they're still working on gens while Trapper is still setting up. He's placing a lot of traps down, which, you know, I kind of expected. He's placing pretty good traps, too. These are not bad placed traps. We have seen a lot of these servers going up into these little railing areas and, you know, the little catwalks and around these doors. I mean, so these are well-placed traps so far. However, as usual, the Trapper losing 1, 2, maybe even a 3rd gen very early in the game, it makes it hard for Trapper to be able to actually do anything. And Claudette giving a little bit of BM at the Trapper, now going to drop it, and again we're seeing that little thing where the Trapper or the killer goes through the pallet on the stun. He does get the hit on Claudette, though.
I mean, honestly, I think that was just an example of, you know, as I've said with the new update, I think the rule of thumb for survivors should be drop your pallets early. Do not risk that happening to you, and I think that was a prime example of, you know, that advice.
Right. Yeah, I think people are still getting used to that, and hopefully we'll see it improve. I mean, Behavior said they're working on a lot of these issues. Now, he is chasing after Kate right now. Kate's going to drop that pallet. Maybe? No, doesn't drop the pallet, takes the hit instead. Interesting choice by Kate to do that. I probably would have gone ahead and dropped that. However, going to continue her chase. I think she might still be being chased. No. Brugard drops chase with Kate, instead going for the Claudette. Claudette now fully healed. Use that medkit to get that full heal, so that means he's going to have his work cut out for him. The only hope is Claudette runs into one of his traps. Now, I don't know if he set traps over here. I don't think he did. Now, Trapper is going to definitely have his work for him. Now, we do see him changing targets, going instead for the Nancy. Getting the hit on the Nancy
I think that transfer
now as well.
I think that transfer is just a bad idea. You went from a unhealthy survivor who was available for a down to a fully healthy survivor.
Oh, and that Dead Hard might have actually played against her. She is going to get down here at the pallet. Unfortunately, that Dead Hard was not enough. She get into a wall, which is something that can happen a lot with Dead Hard in this map. It hasn't happened too much, but it's very easy to accidentally Dead Hard yourself into a wall while you're in chase. I've done that many times on this map and maps like it myself. It's even when I'm playing optimally, it's really easy to make that mistake. And they're also tripping traps. We also saw 3 generators done, which, with no hooks yet, only now getting his first hook, this is going to be another devastating game. I think Rugard's going to get bumped way down on the leaderboard as a result of this, and that's going to be sad to see, but it is what it is.
I do want to talk about this real quick. I'm really surprised not to see Corruptor Intervention once again, especially on Trapper.
Yeah, that is a curious decision. Trapper Corruptor Intervention can be quite strong, and I definitely would have said that that's probably the better choice of what he did bring, which I'm not going to talk about yet, but he did bring some perks that are questionable for sure. Questionable. One of them we have already seen him play a little bit is Save Their Best for Last, where he's getting those fast hits and fast swings. We did see a little bit of that in play, not a whole lot. But he does have 5 stacks. He's trying to build them stacks up. And we do see also 4 generators done as well. So this is definitely a one-sided match for sure.
Yeah, at this point, you know, Rugard just trying...
Oh, I mean, yeah. I hate it because Rugard was on the leaderboard, number 3. And even though you want to burn a killer, at the same time, you're doing it at the risk of pulling yourself down off the leaderboard. Ooh. That's so weird looking. It is so weird looking.
Yeah, once again, I just think that's the example of, need to throw down the pallets early, otherwise you do risk that. I will say that the agent play definitely worked out in their favor. I definitely was not expecting to see that, to say the least.
Right, and he had 2 totem perks that are now gone, and so he doesn't even get to use them. One of them was Devour Hope. It's already gone. And we did talk a little bit about how Devour Hope can be strong, but I guess on this map, these guys have been, aware of where the totem spawns are and didn't allow it to happen. And we did see a Styptic agent by Kate there as well, which benefited her greatly. She is now going to want to obviously mend herself, which she's doing right now. And Nancy is going to be taking aggro from the killer, working her way around into one of these upper areas. This is the one that he trapped. I don't know. I don't think he trapped this one, or if he did, they untrapped it. No, didn't trap this one, unfortunately. So she is going to take a hit, though, but not going to get trapped and not going to get slowed down. Trapper instead possibly abandoning this chase? No, he is committing. Okay, so he is committing to the Nancy. Nancy's going to work her way into the pallet. Drop that pallet early. Very nicely played. Gets the stun on the killer, which is exactly what you want to see. She dropped that one perfectly. That was a well-timed pallet. Now, unfortunately, I think she waited a little bit too long to start moving there and may actually get enough distance, maybe to the next pallet. Deadheart going to save her ass. Very nice. Pulls forward ahead, gets to the stairs, and an adrenaline play, getting her fully healed as Rugard was just about to catch up. That could have been another down, but unfortunately not going to work out. These survivors all at the exit gate. Nancy fully healed now in chase.
Yeah, that's a great example of the communication that LA has, because you better bet that they're saying, okay, it's at 99 or 80, 99, okay, you're good, and just be able to go off of that adrenaline and extending that chase even more. And at this point, this is almost without question going to be a 4-man escape.
Yeah, and Little Rugard did whiff it there. He's still in the chase where... Oh, and a nice Noed at the very end of the game. Noed... Interesting choice to bring Noed with a bunch of other Hex Totems, but I get it, though. He's going for that one-hit down potential. However, maybe the build could have been a little bit stronger. The one he went for was not ideal, for sure. And at this point, Noed not going to do a lot for him. He only got 2 hooks, so at best, he's getting 1, maybe 2 additional hooks at the end game. I think those stars are going to go get Nancy up off the ground, so I would really be surprised if it works out for him, but he might actually be able to get there before they do.
I mean, yeah, I was about to say, I was like, well, maybe unless he has Noed, and I guess he, showed that real quick. But we do see was
Deliverance.
That a Kobe or was that a Deliverance?
That was a Deliverance play by Asteroid, which, again, Deliverance being part of the meta that we've seen in this league so far, and it's very strong. I mean, we love to see Deliverance plays. We've seen a couple of really good ones, too, but that was just an easy one. Just while she's getting carried to the hook, get your Deliverance and get the hell out. They don't even want to bother, I think, looking for that totem and trying to get this person off the hook or anything else. They're all leaving. Yeah, they're getting out, and I'm pretty sure both gates are open as well. Yeah, both gates open. Nobody getting out through hatch, and a third progression for Cybot Lel. And that is GG. And that's what I was talking about. Like, you just didn't get a lot of value out of Noed either. I mean, like, it worked, but had he had, like, more hooks earlier on, maybe Noed would have been useful. I would have done something a little different. Let's look at his build really quick. Here's what I would have done instead. Save the best for last. Gone. Get rid of that.
I can't read the score.
What are you talking about? Read the score.
The quality's too low on Discord.
Oh, okay. Just give me a second. I will go over it. Okay, so here's what I saw. I would have gotten rid of Save the Best for Last. I may have kept Devour Hope and Undying. Maybe. But I probably would have instead gone for... if I'm going to go for Noed, I maybe would have gone for the Blood Warden as well, possibly, because they pair better together than just Noed. And then, if I'm going to keep Devour Hope and Undying instead, I definitely would have replaced Noed with Haunted Ground to protect it a little bit more. I mean, if you're going to go for those one-hit downs, do it early, not late game, because then they're just going to get out. So anyway, but what are your thoughts on that? What would you have done differently with this Trapper?
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, the add-ons make sense. It's no-brainer there. As far as the perks are concerned, I understand the meta shifting towards Undying and Devour Hope. Some great examples where we can see, some people going on absolute streaks where it's 5, tokens on Devour Hope consistently. But in this case, against a really good team where we saw them last game, or the first game, working through totems here and there. I think here, assuming that they know where totem spawns are, I don't know about bringing totems at the last match, and we saw that really early where they just kind of worked through them pretty quickly. My personal opinion, I would have maybe brought State of Best for last. I think that's a great perk on Trapper because you get to determine when they get in traps, mind you, who you get that M1 hit on. Outside of that, there is no gen regression or slowdown, and we saw how that worked out for Rugard.
Yeah, I mean, he got nothing out of Duar Hope. It was gone before he even got a single stack. I mean, it was a nothing perk for him. It was big nothing burger. If I was going to bring that, I'm going to trap it or something, at least so I'm aware of when survivors get to it. Anyway, there's so much we could talk about. But we're going to come back after this, just a moment, for some post-game analysis, and we also have some interviews to do really quick, and then we'll see it out in just a moment. Hold your seats, folks. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we've been watching Week 4 matchup conference rivals Undying Alliance versus Loop Artists, and this was Vigo's court. You've been watching trial number 4, and this is what you just witnessed. 5 generators getting done in this game with a full 3-man escape, not 4. One of them did die at the end due to no-ed, but only 4 hooks by the killer. Devastating against Rugard's status on the leaderboard with only a 1K. It's going to be tough, but 36 to 97, a nasty score from this team. Loop Artist, though, convicted of murder. So well done to Loop Artist. Congratulations on securing your victory and continuing that wonderful streak you guys have. As we go into the post-game highlights, a little bit of feedback from you, Guildspire.
Yeah, I mean, realistically speaking, I think the early game plan that Rugard had made a lot of sense. You know, he was prepping areas, he was prepping loops that he saw that the survivors going through in that first trial, and I think that was an excellent idea by him. But at the end of the day, where he did not bring Corrupt Intervention or anything to really slow down the game going into the mid-game, it did make me question, the thought process behind that, and I definitely am interested in asking him about that in the post-game interview. Outside of that, I think I also do want to highlight some, really great moments for the survivors, but also some tales that I want to ensure that all other survivors in this league understand. Drop pallets early. If you can take anything away from this match, it is that, because we saw many instances of the killer, like right there, being on the same side as the survivor after taking a hit. And if you do not drop them early and just deny the hit, either by having them swing into the pallet or maybe getting a stun off of it, you're going to end up regretting it in the end. And so, until we see any changes, whether that be of hitbox latency or the way in which these animations work, I think that is the tale of trial number 4. Beyond that, though, I think that they did a great job. Looking in chat, it looks like actually this match, Loop Artist did get 4 out of the 5 totems on this map. Hence, we saw, Undying, Devour Hope go in an instant, and just by some happenstance was not able to get that 5th totem for no-ed in the end.
All right.
But,
well, thank you very much. And we do have Rugard here, so we're going to start with Rugard, but I'm going to ask this question openly, right in the words of my favorite captain of all time, Malcolm Reynolds. What in the hell happened back there?
Who's Malcolm Reynolds?
Don't worry about it. Just answer the question.
I wanted to trigger you first. Sorry. I should have camped them out of the game and gone for hooks afterward. Instead, I tried to go for hooks over camping someone out of the game. So, lesson learned.
And is that in reference? Is that in reference to trial 1 or trial 4? Out of curiosity.
Trial 1.
Okay.
Trial 4. I wanted to see how much I could do with Trapper, and as expected, you don't get traps in a competitive setting, so no surprise there. I was just going to see how many downs I could get with as an M1 killer without burning an S or like anything above a C tier killer.
No, and that makes a lot of sense in my opinion. I think Trapper, for most teams is a no-brainer when you're at this type of point deficit. I do just curiosity question, because obviously perks you can use as many times. Why the no Corrupt Intervention? I think that, to me, when I look at Trapper in any setting, I think Corrupt Intervention is kind of a must in most cases.
I love Corrupt Intervention on almost every killer. I think it's garbage on that map. Because 9 times out of 10, the 2 farthest gens are the 2 ones that you don't protect at all.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
and good teams anyone that practices this map doesn't do the 2 furthest gens first anyway. So it's blocking off usually 1 gen that's useful. Sometimes you get lucky and you'll get 2 gens that are kind of useful, but really I think you're better off using other perks in that slot. For this map specifically, on other maps, 100% I'll use Corrupt Intervention. But yeah, this map specifically.
I can agree with that, when looking at that, because usually that would mean either the upside down or the top one is definitely, something that you want to see early on. But kind of moving onto Alfred Domo, what are your thoughts on today's match? You guys came out swinging with Legion. Wasn't sure Legion was the right play, but you guys did do really well there.
Yeah, Legion was more of a burner killer because at that point we're kind of far enough up that we're like, well, I'm sure he's going to do fine with any killer he kind of brings in right now on this map. So let's just bring in the Legion and see how he does, because he can have like split pressure and just run around the map. So that was the idea. I feel bad because I really like Rue. We had fun in these games, especially going against him. It's always a treat. So yeah.
So man, I do have one other question about the perk builds.
Yeah.
What is your thought process behind using Ruin, Undying, and Pop? Poggy and I definitely have some thoughts on that, where we're not sure if it really gets as much value sometimes. Now, obviously, in the Legion match, we saw some there at the end, but what's the thought process behind using those 3 perks together?
It does really get you the max value on slowdown, right? So you have to pop both Ruin and Undying, and then once they do that, which they may do that early on in the game, you're going to have Pop anyways later on, assuming you get the snowball, which he did, to use Pop and just keep that pressure going. So Ruin is more of like an early game pressure. If it lasts all the way through, and you still have that pressure all the way through, and you're not like pushing people off gems, then you're doing good, right? So it's basically just a full slowdown build. It's pretty good. I know it's run by him a lot and other killers that are kind of higher up in other leagues. So we just let him run whatever, and it worked.
Absolutely.
And
I definitely
disagree, but all right.
I mean, it works. He used.
We saw very little use out of Ruin. I mean, maybe one time he chased someone off a gen, and then Ruin was gone after that. Not very long after. And then he had Pop the rest of the game, so he was basically just a one-trick killer for the rest of the game after Krupp was gone. So, I feel like he could have just picked so much better perks. I mean, he did well, but I think it was just owing to the mistakes by the Survivor, not so much from the success of Ruin in any sense.
Potentially. I mean, he did dance around people in the Wraith game, at least. It's more so just to help him. Ideally, he could push people off gens, but he was getting down so fast that he didn't really need to dance around all that too much and go to gens specifically. So it's more of like you're going against, they're playing perfectly, and you need to just get as much pressure as you can to push people off gems, so you get to chase in an area where Ruin can be active. I mean, ideally, I think it's a really good build. You just may not see the best use all the time, but it's more of like a case. I mean,
that's the thing. If you're not going to get it all the time, I wouldn't bring it. For me, anyway, I would just bring something that's more reliable. And totems are just not reliable.
But, with that being said, not to cut off the conversation there, and I will say it's a great conversation. I think the community as a whole will definitely have their opinions overall.
Yeah.
But I do want to kind of give Nightwolf a moment here and get some thoughts on Undying Alliance's Survivor side. And, ask you an honest question, Nightwolf. What do you think went well for you guys, and what do you think you guys could do better next time?
Let me think, because we're just all kind of frustrated right now. I'm just staying on chases a little bit longer. Because we tend to start off strong from the start, and then things just kind of go downhill towards the end. So, and communication kind of has a downfall a little bit. We just need to work on the communications a little bit more and better.
Makes perfect sense. And, we are going to be wrapping up, guys, and just Rue and Domo, any last words from you to chat?
Rue's the GOAT. Just wasn't that good scenario today. But yeah, good luck, everyone. Luck in the next of the games.
Arigato gozaimasu, Goemon sensei.
Hey, have a good night.
You too, man.
Stay tuned for 10 p.m.
Yeah.
I will.
Should be nice. Have a good one.
Awesome. Well, on that note, guys, we will be wrapping up the stream here. I do want to remind you that we do have our 10 p.m. EST match of 4 Dwights, 1 Locker versus CDM, where I will be there myself as the killer. But make sure you hit that follow button. If you do want to support the stream, please hit that subscribe button and support your local team by going over to our Vigo's Court merch, where you can wear your favorites team logo right on your shirt. Be awesome stuff. I know I'll be grabbing a 4 Dwights, 1 Locker shirt here momentarily. But with that being said, this is Guiltspire, your judge, and Counselor Poggy. You want to send us off?
Yeah, thank you so much. And don't forget to check out the website as well. You can see the current standings and all that other stuff. But we're going to be heading out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me.
Anytime. Happy to be here.
So before the first gen even pops. Trying to bait out a hit there, but not able to get it. Ricky's JT able to get away. That was a missed decisive strike. And that is an insta-down.